No one saw the war coming, not even the stars themselves. Earth had been at peace for nearly a century. Space travel was common. Trade routes with neutral alien races had turned the galaxy into a quiet place. But silence is not peace. Something darker had been waiting beyond the outer rim. Captain Rian Locke was not a hero, he was just a pilot. A fast one, a sharp one, but not a warrior. His mission was routine: deliver supplies to the frontier outpost on Ether 9 in return. But today, routine broke apart with fire. The sky above Ether 9 turned red with energy blasts. A fleet of unknown ships came out of nowhere. No warning. No signals, just weapons and death. They weren't pirates. They weren't raiders. They were organized, brutal, and terrifyingly silent. Rian's ship, the Warden's Reach, took a direct hit near the rear thrusters. Flames burst through the interior. The navigation system failed. Oxygen dropped. His hands worked fast on the way. Manual override. He had to crash, but he had to survive. With smoke in his lungs and alarms screaming in his ears, he guided the burning wreck toward the forest-covered part of the planet. Trees rose like giant spears from the ground. He aimed. Between them, knowing even one mistake would kill him, the crash tore through the forest. Metal groaned, snapped, twisted. Rian was thrown against the cockpit glass. His vision blurred. The world spun. Then darkness. When he woke up, the air was cold and wet. Rain hit his face. He could barely move. Pain shot through his ribs. Blood covered his sleeve. The wreckage around him was steaming, broken, and lifeless. No signals, no sound. Just him and the forest. He had no idea where the enemy was. Were they watching, hunting, finishing off survivors? He crawled out of the wreckage, dragging his gear with shaking hands. One leg was busted, his helmet cracked. And no one was coming for him. The trees were massive. The leaves above blocked the sky. Every shadow looked like a threat. The forest didn't feel empty. It felt like something was breathing with him, watching his every step. Something was there. Not human. Not mechanical. Alive. Rian didn't know how long he stumbled forward. Hours, maybe. The rain stopped. Fog rose from the ground. Then without warning, a sound broke the silence. Soft, deliberate, like a footstep on wet moss. He turned, gun raised, teeth clenched. Nothing, then movement. To his left, then right. Shapes in the mist. Quick, elegant, deadly. They weren't enemy soldiers. These creatures moved like hunters, silent, patient, waiting for weakness. Waiting for him to fall. Rian fired once. The blast lit up the trees. The shapes vanished. He didn't know if he hit anything. He didn't care. He was surrounded, alone, and nearly unconscious from blood loss. He dropped to one knee, vision dimming. It was over, but death didn't come. Something else did. A shadow stepped forward, slow and calm. Unlike the others, it didn't hide. It revealed itself. A figure tall, slender, armored in dark silver, with glowing markings across the chest. Not human, but not attacking. She removed her helmet. And what Rian saw didn't make sense. Her eyes glowed gold, not with malice, but with thought. Her skin shimmered with patterns that shifted like light on water, and behind her, a long red tail swayed in the mist. Rian tried to lift his weapon, but his arms gave up. He fell forward, breathing heavy, ready for the end, but she didn't finish him. She stepped closer and knelt. Her voice was soft, strange, like music underwater. And somehow, it was kind. She touched his shoulder and everything went black. When he woke again, he was somewhere else. A cave, lit by bioluminescent vines. His wounds were wrapped. The pain dulled. And beside him, the alien rescuer sat with her weapon across her lap, watching him silently. He was behind enemy lines. He was a human soldier, and yet she had saved him, risked her life. Her people would kill her if they knew, but she didn't care. She had made her choice. And now Rian was part of it, whether he liked it or not. Rian sat against the stone wall, blinking slowly as the alien cave glowed with soft blue light. His body hurt, but the bleeding had stopped. Someone had cleaned his wounds and bandaged him with strange, flexible material. His ribs still throbbed, but he was alive. He looked around the cave. It was deep, silent, but warm. A thin mist curled across the floor like breath. The walls were covered in glowing vines and strange symbols etched into the rock. His gear lay neatly beside him. His weapon had been cleaned, she returned, the alien girl. Silent as always, but alert. Her armor had scratches, and one of her arms sparked faintly where metal met flesh. Her face was calm, but her golden eyes locked onto him like a scanner. She didn't speak, but she wasn't cold. Rian wanted answers. Who was she? Why save him? Where were the others who attacked his ship? His voice was dry and weak when he tried to speak. She tilted her head, listening. Then she moved closer and touched a small device near her collar. Her voice came through softly, filtered but clear. You are not safe here. My kind does not forgive mercy. They will kill you if they find you. And they will kill me for helping. You. Her tone was flat, but there was weight in her words. Rian nodded slowly. Then why help me? He asked. She stood up and paced to the edge of the cave. Her tail flicked once behind her. Because you didn't fire when you saw me. She replied, you didn't scream, you didn't beg. You looked at me like I was real, not a monster, not a target. That is rare. Outside the cave, storm clouds gathered again. Wind howled through the trees. The wreckage of his ship still burned in the distance, but the smoke was thin now. The enemy patrols were out there, sweeping the area, searching for heat signatures. She handed him a small container. Inside was food, not human food, but something soft, warm, and full of energy. He hesitated. She watched him. Eat. You won't last long if you stay weak. Your kind needs energy. Fast, you lose too much heat. He ate. It tasted strange, like sweet root and iron, but it gave him strength. His mind cleared. He could think. Again, he watched her adjust her rifle, check her sensors, and then step back toward the opening. She wasn't relaxed anymore. She was alert. There's movement nearby, she said. Scouts. They travel in twos. If they find this cave, they will call in a strike. We must move before night falls. Rian tried to stand. Pain screamed through his leg. He fell against the wall, gasping. She didn't flinch. Without a word, she knelt and slid her arms under him. He tried to argue. She ignored him. With a strength that didn't match her frame, she lifted him over her shoulder and grabbed both their weapons. Then she vanished into the forest like a ghost. The forest was dense. Roots grabbed at her feet. Branches sliced through the air like knives. But she moved with precision, speed, and care. Rian could feel her heartbeat steady. Calm, she was trained for war. But her mission had changed. They moved for hours, deeper into the uncharted zones. Rain returned, soft at first, then harder. The night came quickly. Red lightning crackled across the sky. Strange howls echoed from distant hills. Rian asked what creatures made that sound. She didn't answer. They reached a hollow beneath a cliff, hidden from above, covered in vines and shielded from aerial scans. She set him down gently and scanned the area. Here, she said. We stay for the night. I'll keep watch. He looked at her confused. You won't rest? He asked. Her reply came without hesitation. I can't. They track body heat. You must stay still. No light, no sound. I will keep the perimeter secure. She crouched near the cave's entrance and raised her rifle. Rian watched her in silence. He saw the faint glow of her eyes as she stared into the darkness. She had risked everything for him. Her own people would hunt her. If they caught her, They would not show mercy. She had broken their law to save a stranger. He didn't know why. But in that moment, he trusted her more than anyone he had ever flown with. She didn't need to save him. She chose to. And that meant everything. Morning on Ethra 9 came with thick fog and the low hum of distant engines. Rian awoke slowly, the pain in his side dull but present. His rescuer was still there, crouched at the entrance of the cave, unmoving. Her armor glistened with dew, her rifle steady in her hands. She didn't speak until he sat up. They are getting closer. One of their scouts passed less than 100 meters from this place. We have limited time. Rian rubbed his face and tried to stand again. His strength was better now, but his leg was still weak. She helped him up, wrapping a support brace around his thigh with skilled hands. Her touch was firm, not gentle, but careful. What do they want? He asked, watching her work. They want silence, she answered. Your kind brought sound, change, thought. They fear change more than they fear war. That is why you must not be caught. If they learn a human survived, they will erase everything to hide it. She led him through a narrow path behind the cliff. The forest had changed here. The trees were thinner, the ground more jagged, and strange stone towers rose from the earth like frozen giants. Vines glowed blue around them. The air tasted sharp. What are these? Rian asked, glancing at the spires. Ancient tech, she said. Before my kind rose. Before yours reached the stars. The land remembers things we forget. These towers block tracking scans. We'll be safe here for a while. They entered a cracked structure shaped like a claw. Inside, the walls were smooth and pulsing faintly. It felt alive. Rian touched one with his fingers. It was warm, not metal, not stone. Something else entirely. The alien girl activated a small node in the wall. A light shimmered, and a circular display opened from the floor. Maps, signals, patrol paths, all displayed in motion. She was not just a soldier. She was something higher, a tactician. A rebel. Rian stared at her. You're not just rescuing me, are you? He asked. She turned to him. No, you are a piece in a much bigger game, but one that matters. If we can get you to the relay point, we can transmit proof. Proof that a human survived. That my kind did not destroy all of you. It will force them to answer to the galaxy. He stepped closer to the display. How far is the relay? Too far for comfort, she replied. And through territory they own. Guarded. Watched. Trapped. But we have one path they don't. Expect. An old tunnel that runs under the ridge. It's not safe, but it's hidden, Rian nodded. Then we go through it. She studied him for a moment. You're wounded. You should be resting. He straightened his back despite the pain. If I stop now, I won't make it anyway. I'd rather move. Her eyes flickered once, then she nodded. Very well, we go in 1 hour, when the patrols shift. Until then, you rest and eat. You'll need everything. He sat down and took another ration. The taste had grown on him. She sat across from him, leaning her weapon against the wall. For a moment, there was peace. Just two soldiers from different stars, sharing silence in a forgotten ruin. Rian broke the quiet. What do I call you? She blinked once. Name? She asked, as if surprised. Yeah, you saved my life. I should at least know what to call you. She hesitated, then said, They call me Vyas. It means silent shield. Rian nodded. I'm Rian. Just Rian. Vyas gave a small nod. Then we are no longer strangers. Outside the wind had shifted. The sky began to darken again. A new storm was forming. Vyas stood and loaded her weapon. When this storm hits, we move. Under its cover, they won't see us. Rian followed her gaze. He could feel the pressure in the air. The sound of thunder in the distance. The forest waiting. The enemy tightening their net. But they were not going to stop. Not now. They had a plan. They had a path. And even behind enemy lines, they had each other. Asterisk, the storm struck hard. Rain came down in sheets, hammering the earth like falling steel. Thunder cracked above the trees. The light from the sky flickered as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Vyas moved fast, her body blending with the dark. Rian followed. Close behind, his cloak soaked, his leg aching. The path she chose was narrow and lined with thorns. Every step was a risk. The old tunnel entrance was half buried beneath broken roots and moss-covered stone. Vyas pulled a panel open with her blade. Inside, the air turned cold and metallic. The tunnel was ancient, lined with hexagonal tiles and old markings in a dead language. Light strips on the walls flickered weakly. Machines hummed far beneath. The surface, still alive after all these years. This place is forgotten, Vyas said. But not dead. It still listens. Stay close. Do not touch the walls unless I say. Rian nodded and kept to her side. The tunnel curved downward sharply. The sound of the storm faded behind them. Only their breathing and footsteps remained. Time stretched in the darkness. Rian lost track of how long they moved. Suddenly Vyas raised her hand. Rian froze. She pressed her other hand against the wall, and a pulse of green light spread out from her fingers. The path ahead lit up. And in that moment, Rian saw what she was trying to avoid, a nest. Long metallic creatures coiled around the tunnel edges. Their bodies shimmered with pale blue light. Their heads turned without sound. Sentries, not alive in the normal sense. More like programs wrapped in armor. Machines guarding a secret. Vyas pointed upward to a small opening. We climb. They don't sense above them, only below. Step where I step, she moved with careful grace. Every foothold she used was exact. Rian followed, fighting pain with every stretch of his wounded leg, but he didn't complain. Not once. The climb was steep, but they made it through the opening silently. The upper passage was tighter but empty. Vyas dropped down into it and pulled Rian through. You did well, she said. Most soldiers would have panicked down there. You didn't. Rian let out a breath and leaned against the wall. I'm not most soldiers. I'm just stubborn. She looked at him for a moment, then offered a small nod. That may save us both, they continued forward. The tunnel led to a broken wall that opened out into a hollow chamber. It was wide, circular, and lined with ancient consoles. In the center stood a glowing arch of white metal, still active and humming with strange energy. That's it? Rian asked. Yes, Vyas said. That is the transit point. It connects to the relay beacon buried beneath the mountain. One transmission. That's all we need. Once it's sent, my people will be forced to answer to the Treaty Council. They can't silence both our names. Rian stepped closer. Then let's send it. Vyas moved to the console. Her fingers danced across the keys. Symbols lit up. A signal formed in the air above them. It showed Rian's crash, her rescue, the hidden patrol routes, and the proof of human survival behind enemy lines. A soft chime confirmed the signal was ready. Vyas turned to him. You must place your hand on the beacon. It requires human contact to validate. That's why I couldn't do it alone. Rian didn't hesitate. He placed his hand on the panel. The arch lit up. The signal launched. A beam of energy shot upward, invisible to the eye, but powerful enough to break through the storm above and reach the satellite systems waiting beyond orbit. It's done, Vyas said. Now they know. The galaxy knows, but the moment didn't last. Alarms blared deep in the tunnel. Red lights flashed along the walls. The sentries had awakened. Something had triggered their response. They were coming. Vyas turned to Rian. We run. Now. Rian grabbed his rifle and followed her. Behind them, the floor vibrated. The sentries moved fast, metal scraping against stone, their light cutting through the dark like blades. Vias fired over her shoulder, one clean shot, another, then a third. They reached the exit at the far end of the chamber. Vias launched a small charge, and the door blasted open. Cold air flooded in. They burst out into the forest once again, breathless, soaked, but alive. But this time, the enemy knew exactly where they were. The forest roared with movement. Not wind, not animals, but machines. Flying scouts cut through the air. Red lights danced through the trees. The enemy had found the signal source and tracked it to their escape point. Vias pushed Rian ahead, leading him through a stream hidden by fallen branches. Water splashed around their boots as they moved fast. She checked her scanner. They're spreading out, forming a trap. We need to reach higher ground. Rian's lungs burned. His legs screamed in pain, but he didn't stop. Vias had risked everything for him. He would not slow her down now. They climbed the slope, hands grabbing at roots and stone, their weapons ready. At the top of the hill, the forest opened into a rocky ridge. Vias pointed to the edge. There, a drop zone, old, abandoned. We might find a way off-world. Maybe a hidden ship or signal relay. They reached the ridge just as a blast scorched the trees behind them. A sentry drone had spotted them. Vias fired back, striking its engine. It spiraled down into the trees. She pulled Rian behind a rock. More coming. We hold here. She opened a small case on her belt and pulled out 2 small energy grenades. If they reach this ridge, we won't survive. We buy time. Then we move again. Rian checked his weapon. It was fully charged. He looked at her. You don't give up, do you? Vias shook her head once. Giving up is a luxury. I chose to protect you. That means I fight to the end. Blasts rang through the trees. The enemy advanced, slow but steady. Vias tossed a grenade. It exploded in a flash of blue, knocking down 2 scouts. Rian fired beside her, covering the right flank. They fought like one unit, no words needed. The ridge trembled as another drone slammed into the cliffside. Dust filled the air. Vias grabbed Rian's arm. New plan. There's a cave network below this ridge. It's risky, but it leads to a secondary outpost. If it still exists, we can hide there. They dropped down into the crack beneath the ledge. The path was narrow, barely wide enough for them to squeeze through. Water dripped from the ceiling. Their footsteps echoed. The noise of the fight above faded behind layers of rock. For the first time in hours, there was silence. Not peace, but quiet. Vias walked ahead, her weapon still raised. Rian limped behind her, his strength nearly gone. But he kept moving. Because she kept leading. Why? Do you care what happens to me? He asked softly. Vias didn't stop. Because I was once saved too. A long time ago. By someone who wasn't supposed to. It changed me. I never forgot. Now it's my turn. They reached a chamber where the tunnel split in 2. Vias checked her scanner. Both paths showed unstable signals. She closed her eyes for a moment, listening. Then she pointed left. This one. I trust the echoes. They moved deeper. The air turned warmer. Glowing moss lit the way. Rian's hands trembled as he leaned on the wall for support. Vias noticed and stopped. She stepped beside him and gave him a small water pack. Drink. We're almost there. Just hold on. He took it and nodded. You're not like the others. You act like you were human once. Vias looked at him. Her eyes, once fierce, softened. Maybe I was. Or maybe I just stopped believing in the rules they gave me. Suddenly, the tunnel shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Vias grabbed him and pulled him to the ground as a blast echoed from the rear path. They were not alone in the tunnels anymore. The enemy had followed them into the caves. The tunnel rumbled again. This time the sound came with metal claws scraping stone. Vias pulled Rian to his feet. Her eyes locked onto the dark passage behind them. They've deployed tunnel hunters, fast, cold, they don't stop. Rian tightened the strap on his rifle and pushed forward beside her. Then we don't stop either. They ran. The narrow path curved into a spiral, lit only by the glow of the moss and the distant flicker of red sensors chasing them. Vyas stayed low, her steps precise. Rian followed, breathing hard, but focused. They are closing in faster than I expected, Vyas said. There's a narrow split ahead. We can collapse it behind us with a blast. But we must time it perfectly. They reached a jagged fork where the tunnel widened briefly. Vyas dropped a charge against the rock wall and tapped in the timer. 10 seconds after we passed through. No delay, no turning back. Rian nodded. Got it, let's go. They bolted through the narrow pass. The light behind them flared red as the enemy entered the chamber. Vyas turned and fired a quick burst to slow them down. Then the charge detonated. The tunnel collapsed with a thunderous crash. The dust poured through the cracks. The air went still. Vyas leaned against the stone, catching her breath. Rian sat beside her, coughing but alive. That'll hold them for now, she said. For now is good enough, Rian replied. The cave beyond the collapse sloped upward. Vyas took the lead again, checking the scanner. If this map is correct, there's a hidden outpost near the cliff wall. My ancestors used it during the last cycle war. If it's still functional, it may be our last shelter. They reached a sealed metal door covered in vines. Vyas placed her hand on the center. A red light blinked, scanning her biometrics. After a pause, the door slid open with a slow groan. Inside, a small chamber flickered to life with ancient power. This was real, Rian said, stepping inside. Your people left this behind? Vyas nodded. They buried it when peace was signed. But they kept the access codes alive and old. Bloodlines. I was born from one of those lines. The chamber had a console, an old bed frame, and enough supplies for a few days. Vyas closed the door behind them and locked the seal. We'll be safe here while the outside burns. But not forever. She walked to the console and activated a dim screen. Lines of alien text rolled across it. One signal relay is still intact, deep in orbit. If we send a second broadcast from here, it will double the weight of our message. It will reach the inner consoles faster. Can it be traced? Rian asked. Vyas hesitated. Yes, but by the time they find it, the message will be gone. Spread. Archived. Too many eyes to erase it. She sat across from him and placed a new bandage on his shoulder. Her hands moved with care. You fought well today. Most soldiers would have collapsed by now. You didn't. Rian gave her a faint smile. Maybe your stubbornness rubbed off on me. Vyas almost smiled, but didn't. Her expression shifted. A shadow crossed her face. There's something I must tell you. If we are caught, I will be executed. Not just for helping you. For defying everything they built. This is not rescue. It is betrayal. Rian looked at her without fear. Then, I'm proud to be part of it. She reached out and held his arm. Her grip was strong, her voice quiet. When this ends, we may go different ways. But for now, we survive together. One more day. One more fight. Outside, thunder rolled again. A new signal had been sent. The second message was rising into the stars. The truth was spreading. But so was danger. And now, they would have to face its full weight. The ground shook before the sun rose. Vyas was already awake, standing at the entrance of the hidden outpost, her weapon slung across her back. The console had confirmed it. The second signal had been received. The galaxy now knew the truth. Rian woke slowly, wincing from the pain in his leg. He looked at her silhouette outlined by the dim glow from the vines. She wasn't just a rescuer anymore. She was a traitor to her kind, a shield to his, and a spark in the middle of a dark war. Vyas turned to him. They've sent a strike team, heavy armor, no scouts. They are not here to search. They are here to erase. Rian stood, loading his weapon. Then we fight. She shook her head. We can't win this fight. Not head-on, but I have a plan. It's not escape. It's something bigger. She tapped a hidden panel in the wall. A map lit up, showing tunnels running deep beneath the outpost. One led to a power core buried beneath the cliff. This place was once a beacon hub. That core can overload. Enough to wipe this ridge clean. Including us. Rian stared at her. You're going to destroy it? Yes, she said. Not just to stop them, but to seal this path forever. To make sure no more lies are buried under this rock. They want silence. We'll give them a blast so loud it becomes memory. He stepped closer. You want me to leave before it happens? Vyas didn't answer at first. Then she placed something in his hand. A small, sleek beacon. This will call a neutral scout ship, treaty watchers. They'll come, not to fight, but to record, to spread the truth to every system. You must survive to do that. Rian clenched his fist around it. I won't leave you here to die. You must, she said. If I go, the core won't trigger. It needs manual contact. I was made to be forgotten. You were not. You are the story they will try to bury, but you will not let them. Their eyes met. No more words, just purpose. She turned back to the panel and opened the last tunnel. It will take you 3 levels up. You'll reach a clearing with sky access. Launch the beacon there. Rian hesitated, then stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. You are not forgotten. Not to me. Vyas gave a small nod. Go, before I change my mind. He moved through the tunnel, every step heavier than the last. Behind him, the door sealed shut. He knew she would not follow. She had chosen her. And he had chosen to carry it. Minutes later, a great light rose from the ridge. Fire burst through the stone. The mountain cracked. Trees bent under the force. The signal flare lit the sky, and with it came the echo of a final stand. Rian reached the cliff clearing, shaking, bleeding, but standing. He launched the beacon. Its signal cut through the clouds, silent but bright. And across the stars, watchers received it. And they remembered the story of a human pilot who crashed behind enemy lines, and the alien rescuer who risked everything to save him, not because she had to, but because she chose to.